the Los Lomas class of 2020. They say that hindsight is 2020. The shrouded messiness of the past clarified when you're able to see it in retrospect. Indeed, if I knew at 18 years old what I knew today, I wouldn't have fretted as much about what college I wanted to go to. I would have read more books and played fewer video games. I would have spent more time with the people I cared about. And I certainly would not have had a bowl cut. Oh, that sweet, sweet bowl cut. Unfortunately, I failed to destroy the photographic evidence. Now, applying the principle of 2020 to your high school career, you may have more clarity about the circumstances you were in, the choices you made, and the consequences of both. In that 2020 view, you may say, I would have done a few things differently. The notion is only human. And yet, no matter how much time you spend dissecting the past, your ability to change it is nil. That is, of course, unless you have a flux capacitor and a DeLorean lying around. Should you find yourself in the possession of these items, I'd love to have a chat with you, as I have some things in the past I'd like to rectify, most notably a haircut and an early investment in Bitcoin. Now, in the absence of a time machine, there's nothing we can do to change the circumstances that turned your world upside down 2 months ago. How I wish someone could push a button and make it all go away. To give you back your foregone senior rights, basking in the sun at brunch, treating the bell schedule as a casual suggestion, the awkward exchange of boutonniere and corsage, the following Monday's ditch day, which of course none of you would have participated in, choosing instead to faithfully attend your economics class. Now, since shelter in place began, the distance between us has been a chasm we've tried to bridge while trapped within Zoom meetings or confined to 6-foot circles drawn on the ground. Yet, the abyss lingers. What if we could give you back the hugs and the handshakes? They've never been valued at such a premium. Heck, I'd take a high five right now. Maybe even a low five. The Twilight Zone didn't stop there either. How many of you walked into grocery stores to find the typically plush shelves bare? A ghostly reminder of society's fragility and how incredibly fortunate we are to typically have such abundance. For a second, I suspected Thanos of exiling toilet paper to another world with a snap of his fingers. It couldn't be found anywhere. Some businesses started offering an incentive that would have been laughable just a short while ago. A roll of toilet paper with every purchase. I've even tried to find a credit card that doles out toilet paper rewards instead of airline miles. Don't look. I've tried. They don't exist. I could go on and on and on about how the world is different, but it wouldn't change anything. A perfect 2020 view into the past couldn't enable your parents, your friends, or your loved ones to give you back what you lost. You only have control of the present, which will influence the future. So what if you could flip the hindsight is 2020 paradigm on its head and not lament what is lost, but rather build a future as you wished it to be? If that were possible, then, dare I say, foresight would be 2020. Could that be possible? Could you see the future and make it as you wanted it to be, working one day at a time until it was perfected? Now I'm unsure, but let's work on it for a sec. I think first you'd have to keep your positivity. Positivity is something that you have more control over than you think. Let's take smiling, for example. Yes, a simple smile. In his work, Blink, Malcolm Gladwell cites a study showing smiling to not only be the result of emotion, but to be causal as well. Put quite simply, choosing to smile can make you happier. So smile. Try it out. You feel happier? I knew you would. Be like Buddy the Elf. Make smiling your favorite. You're all empowered to choose to see the good in the world. While fantastic headlines and dismal statistics create anxiety, I assure you the good is out there. One little slice of feel-good I've stumbled upon is John Krasinski's Some Good News. Way better than any clickbait I've fallen for, SGN will make you laugh and smile and get misty-eyed. I didn't tear up. I know these guys that watched. Dang it, Krasinski, you're making me look weak in front of my students. When people point to figurative signs that the world is ending, choose to look at the physical signs hung up in your community. If you believe them, Las Lomas is united, doubly verified by the Las Lomas graduate signs in every single senior's front lawn or window. Did you see the Easter eggs hung up all over? When it was clear that a traditional egg hunt would not be possible this year, community members hung up paper eggs so that kids could hunt them at a distance. They put teddy bears in windows so they could go on bear hunts as well. Little pieces of painted positivity, kindness rocks, have been left all over town. I even drove by a garage that says, kindness rocks. I couldn't agree more. On overpasses and fences, on the sides of buildings, people have placed messages of thank you for all those that continue to work on our behalf. You may have also noticed the rainbows hung in windows, boldly proclaiming that although the times are dark, the sun will come out tomorrow. If you choose to believe these signs, the world is not ending. It just needs a little pep talk. Now, once you've made that decision to see the good, to be positive, you'll have to apply it to your vision of the future. A vision with lofty goals, perhaps ones that will not be accomplished in your lifetime, ones that may see progress and dialectic backsliding, ones that may be adopted by others and morphed into something new, but nonetheless to see progress. Thomas Jefferson had a vision of a country where all men were created equal. But in the years directly following the revolution, that vision did not become a reality. In the midst of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln would assert the nation's vision as being dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. The word proposition and admission that our country was not yet there. 100 years later, still working on that proposition, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would stand on the Lincoln Memorial and borrow Jefferson's words when dreaming, one day, this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Legislation to that aim was passed shortly thereafter, but still we work on that vision. Sojourner Truth dared to question, ain't I a woman who deserves the dignity to be equal to men? It took another 70 years of struggle to see the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave the right to vote to all women. And yet we still work on that vision. Thomas Edison was able to perfect the light bulb and envisioned a country where homes would be lit at night. Since then, we've delved beyond mere light bulbs to have electronics that would have seemed science fiction to Edison. And yet the work continues. Jonas Salk envisioned a world where no child would have to suffer the crippling effects of polio. So he developed a vaccine. Today, virologists are racing to develop a vaccine so that we can put our world back together. Now, we tend to enshrine these people in a pantheon of gods, insulated from the things that made them human. But human they were. They dealt with the same things that we suffer from: negative life circumstance, character flaws, depression, anxiety, self-doubt, failure. I mean, look at Jefferson. Jefferson espoused the natural rights of man while being a slave owner. Lincoln failed at business and politics. He saw a sweetheart die and suffered from a nervous breakdown. Sojourner Truth, growing up a slave, was forbidden to learn how to read or write. Edison was asocial. Salk was accused of being a kitchen chemist. And so you see, they were people, just like you. People with bold visions. So what is your vision? Is it to see a world without cancer, oceans without trash atolls, to ensure that all children are fed? Can you see it? Is it the elimination of human trafficking, of drug cartels, of warlords. Is your vision getting clearer? Is it a technology that could make the world safer or cleaner or more prosperous? Well, why not all three? Could it happen? Well, not without a vision. You see, your world needs your vision, and it needs your struggle to make it happen. That future can't happen without you. Now that you've chosen positivity and you've got your vision, there's one more thing you'll need to see you through, and that's persistence. When you fail, and it will happen from time to time, you need to choose to remain positive and to keep moving towards that vision. A little over 90 years ago, the stock market crashed on Black Tuesday, signaling the worst economic disaster in United States history. The ensuing Great Depression would last for over 10 years, marking tremendous hardship for millions of Americans. Yet, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, that same generation helped defeat fascism during World War II, saw the passing of landmark civil rights legislation, participated in the women's liberation movement, put a man on the moon, and put an end to the Cold War. And do you know what that generation goes by? They're called the greatest generation. For in the face of adversity, they refused to give up. They continue to work for a better future. Could you be so bold? Could you stare down coronavirus and tell it, you may confine me, but you will not define me? I have too much work left to do. Would you stand back up when knocked down, see barriers as opportunities, celebrate failure as being 1 inch closer to success? Could you have the audacity, the tenacity to live in the moment each day, choosing love over hate, hard work over lethargy, passion over apathy? Could you do it? Would you be brave enough to choose generosity over selfishness, Would you be brave enough to choose generosity over selfishness, long-term vision over short-term gratification, compassion over indifference? Would you dare? Would you? Knowing that the fruits of that labor might not be fully realized in your lifetime? In the full knowledge that you might face hardship and loss and disappointment along the way? Well, if you could be so bold to build that future, then foresight really would be 2020. And with that kind of vision, the future has never been clearer.